And we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the second part of the show, we are going to discuss the latest Bill Belichick rumors and whether it's possible he could be fired at the end of the game on Sunday. First off, I'm going to come out by saying no. I think regardless of the outcome, I just don't see that happening. But there were articles that came out. There was one on Nesson that I was looking at before coming on. And it's saying Patriots reportedly could replace Bill Belichick after Germany game against the Colts. Now, I think I said the game was going to be in London, so I apologize for that. I honestly thought that I didn't realize it. I don't know. I said it on something at the game. I feel like I did that the game was in London, but no, this game is also in Germany. So yeah, you go from Dolphins Chiefs to Colts Patriots. So now if Peyton Manning and Tom Brady were playing in this game, sign me up for it. But you got Gardner Minshew and Mac Jones, and the Patriots are 2-7. So it says how the scenario in the article by Nesson. The scenario feels highly unlikely, but the hypothetical might not be completely off the table. The Patriots obviously no longer are competing for a playoff spot, as it talks about, which, yeah. And according to the Boston Globe's Ben Volen, a loss overseas might be the final straw for Robert Kraft and company. Based on my conversations, I don't think it's 100% that Belichick finishes out this season, Volen wrote in a column published Friday. These next two games before the bye are huge, particularly the Germany game, which is practically the team's Super Bowl for the Krafts. If Belichick loses at home to the Commanders, which he already did, and then to the Colts, and comes home from Germany with a 2-8 record, I think there's a chance the Krafts can make the move in the bye week and install Gerard Mayo as the interim head coach for the final 7 games. Okay, so I actually don't know when did this article come out? Does it say? Because I mean they already did lose to the Commanders, yeah. So it came out 2 days ago. I'm gonna be honest. I really just don't see it happening. I would be surprised if that ends up happening. Now this is big because now we got games playing in Germany and you want to the NFL's trying to advertise their game overseas, and I mean fans like it. The players I don't think are too crazy about it. But for me personally, I really just don't see that happening. I would be surprised if that happens, because I mean I don't really know what's going on behind the scenes. I have no clue. Not a lot of people do, obviously. But for me, for Bill Belichick, I think you owe it to him to finish out the year and then say, all right, we appreciate everything you've done, but I think it's time we go in a different direction. Now, there's some rumors that he could get traded to Washington. There's another rumor with that, too, which actually we'll see if we can find that right now. But I find it hard to believe the success that you've had with this guy, with this head coach, and just like that, you're gonna fire him in the middle of the season. I really don't see it. Okay, so there's an article that came out on November 1st. This was Pro Football Talk, Mike Florio. Could Commanders try to hire Bill Belichick after the season? I mean, it's possible. I mean, anything is possible, really. I didn't really go into detail. I didn't really skim through it, but I know that was like a rumor that was floating around, too. Washington can get their hands on Belichick. But, I think anything that happens with Belichick, it's going to happen at the end of the year. I really don't see them firing him in the middle of the year. That just doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, it's been bad these last couple of years. I mean, last year you go 8-9. after going 10-7 the previous year, making the playoffs with Mac Jones, and last year you regress. This year it's even worse. Patriots are not a very good team. They're bad. And and listen, a lot of the things that people talk about is, Belichick like trading out of the first round and trying to get these players that, you really don't have high on your draft board. And look what that's done. And listen, I talked about it on previous shows too. Like, you go back and you look at the moves that they made in the offseason, bringing in Ezekiel Elliott, Mike Gesicki, Juju Smith-Schuster. To me, you put those guys on a team that has loaded offense, but you're looking to get more depth. That would make more sense. Like, if you put those guys on the Chiefs, I think those are decent signings because they're depth pieces. But I mean, like, you're making them like the top options in this offense. That it's not going to work. Mike Gesicki, I think, has 1 touchdown. I keep seeing posts about Juju Smith-Schuster on social media. He doesn't look happy in New England. It's bad. I mean, and Mac Jones rookie year. I mean, you get him Devontae Parker. Well, actually, no. I think the following year they got Devontae Parker. Regardless, you get Devontae Parker. You get Kendrick Bourne, who, well, I mean, unfortunately for him, he tore his ACL and has been a productive player for the Patriots, but he's not a number 1 option. It's just, I don't know. For me, it looks like Belichick tries to be like the smartest guy in the room sometimes because, like, you let go of key guys. You trade away Chandler Jones, who was one of your best pass rushers at one point. Trying to think what else for an offensive lineman. Like, you let go of, well, even though he didn't play well with the Chargers, you let go of J.C. Jackson and then you get him back. I mean, there's a lot of moves that I can't think off the top of my head. Like, you also trade Brandon. I mean, you get rid of Brandon Cooks, right? The 1 year you have him, and he was good with Tom Brady. You think you would have kept him around, but they get rid of him. Like, that's just a few that I could think of. But, they've let some of their better players go, and then, I mean, they don't really replace them. I mean, listen, I don't know how the Patriots won in 2018 because, well, they won because of Tom Brady. That was the difference. Because you look at, like, let's be honest with ourselves. You had an older Gronk. Then again, you won in 2020 with him. But with that offense compared to the 2018 offense, I mean, there's no comparison. Julian Edelman obviously wasn't the same player, but, like, he was starting to break down, of course. But, yeah, he won Super Bowl MVP. Caught all those clutch throws, clutch third downs in the championship game. Chris Hogan was your other receiver. I mean, listen, you didn't have, like, but you know what? You didn't need it. But at the same time, it's like they didn't have, like, what they had with Randy Moss in 2007. They didn't have that, like, in 2018. Like, they just started to, like, they really just did not reload. And it was weird. Because, like, don't you want to surround your offense with talent? Like, or you're just going to let Brady just work with what he's got? And listen, it worked out okay. But if that makes sense, if anything I said makes sense, hopefully it does. But you guys know what I mean. Like, Gronk obviously was still good. Edelman was still good. But they, like, they were starting to decline a little bit. Like, they weren't like what they were in, 2014, 2016. I mean, but that's because they got injured. They're taking a bunch of hits. They're getting abused out there. I mean, it's not because, like, they were bad. It's just, injuries caught up to them. And, 2018 was like one of those years you were just like, I don't think the Patriots are going to win. Because you looked at the Chargers that year. They were loaded on offense and on defense. They had one of the best rosters in the NFL. You know, you had the Chiefs with Mahomes his first year as a starter. Like, nobody really gave the Patriots a chance, which was bad because then they went and won the Super Bowl. And they won 13-3 in the Super Bowl against the Rams. So, but I mean, Belichick, the league I think is caught up to him, and I think what's really looked bad for him is the fact that Tom Brady left and won a Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and Belichick hasn't won a playoff game since Brady left. You know, you finished 7-9 with Cam Newton, missed the playoffs. You make the playoffs the following year with Mac Jones, but you get obliterated by the Bills. Then you missed the playoffs last year, and this year you're going to have your worst record in a long time. Doesn't look good. Doesn't look good. And listen, part of me thinks he tried to, I think people did say that he tried to like sabotage Tom Brady and not surround him with more talent. Because even look at 2019. Then you had no Gronk for a year. You had Benjamin Watson. You still had Edelman. Rookie Jacoby Myers. You know, there's no more Amendola. No more Chris Hogan. No Gronk. The move you make is go and get Mohamed Sanu. You know, like, I mean, if it wasn't for Tom Brady, I mean, that team doesn't make the playoffs. So it's, and like the stuff with like the assistants, Joe Judge and Matt Patricia, you bring those guys in, a special teams guy and a former defensive coordinator who became a head coach, and you make them, co-offensive coordinators. Like it's just not going to work, and it didn't work. But, there's a lot of, listen, it's just, he's had a great career, leading the Patriots, being a part of those teams, being the head coach all those years. But, at this point, it's like, yeah, there might need to be a change, a different voice. Now, for me, I don't think he should be fired during the season. I think you should do that at the end of the year. But again, I don't know. I really don't know what's going on. But I just think it's interesting that, like, if the Patriots are 2-8 after this week, there's a possibility he could be fired. But I'm just amazed at how quickly, like, the fan base, everybody has just turned on him that quickly. But it's been bad. And, but listen, for Patriots fans, you're not going to get sympathy from anybody because you won all those championships. And number 12 is not walking through that door. He's not. At least I don't think he is. Could you imagine? He's like, I'm coming back for one more year. Now that would be something, but it's not. It's not going to happen. I will say, though, like, you put Brady on this team, I mean, the Patriots are definitely not 2-7. They're not. Now, they might have a losing record. They might be, like, I don't know, 3-5. Well, they play 9 games. I don't think they've had their bye yet. But they'd be, like, maybe 4-5. Like, I think they'd be better with, most people would say they'd be better with Brady right now. But it's, you don't know. You don't know. But, yeah, so we'll just have to see what happens if this actually does happen. So if the Patriots lose, we'll see. Do they let go of Belichick? For me, I say no, but let me know what you guys think in the comments below about that. Now, before we go to break, our second break of the show, I just want to remind you guys to tip or donate and get your comments recognized. Make sure to go to the following link. That is streamelements.com/gsmcsportsnetwork./tip. Again, great way to make the show more interactive between me, the host, and you, the viewer. Once again, the link is streamelements.com/gsmcsportsnetwork./tip. All right. Now, with that, we are going to take our second break of the show. And then when we come back, we are going to discuss the quarterback situation in New York, because there's some things we need to discuss here. So stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.